bent valves. Pistons are pretty impacted. The timing belt blew while the engine was running. This is a new belt somebody had already put on, or somebody put on, and then they couldn't get the car started, and then they realized that it's an interference fit engine. That's why this belt looks as new as it does. My boss forgot to tell me about that part of it. So anyways, looks like I'm going to pull the head off. You pretty much leave the intake on. You can take it off obviously and set it to the side, or take it right out of the vehicle. Disconnect all the side stuff, coolant flanges, all the brackets that hold the wiring to the cylinder head. Snake the fuel injection wiring around. Take the timing belt off. Take the 3 bolts out of the turbo. The 3 bolts that hold the turbo to the manifold. There's 2 here, and then loosen the shield here. You get to the 3rd one underneath here. Turbo will pretty much stay in place once you lift the head off. That's pretty much it. Make sure to plug all the openings so you don't drop anything in. And then loosen the head bolts. There's 10 of them. You need that special hexapoly, whatever it's called. Coolant has already been drained at this point, obviously. What else? Battery's disconnected. Fuel lines are disconnected. There's no real one way to do it, aside from obviously specifics. Head bolts, turbo bolts you got to take off, but in terms of order, what to take off first, you pretty much go as remove as you go. To each his own. I never do the same. I never follow the same procedure for a lot of stuff. You either get interrupted with phone calls, or you got to help one of the other technicians out with something else, so you get sidetracked. The main thing is to obviously pay attention to what you disconnect, so that later on when you reconnect everything's going to be connected in the right place. Use whiteout or something to mark wiring, harness looms, vacuum hoses, so you know where to attach them later on. With any type of bent valves, you always want to replace the lifters as well. Send the head to the machine shop. They'll take care of the guides and the valves for you. The chain tensioner would be a good idea to replace. Even the cam sprocket, because it took some of the brunt of the impact. Obviously this little key, sometimes they shear right off. It could have probably been weakened or compromised at this point, so it's a good idea to replace that cam gear. Pistons could be cracked, small fractures, we'll see that later on from the top maybe. Customer might go for a used motor if there's too much damage. If the head is still stuck, then something else is holding it. I'm gonna take a quick look around. Support bracket right here, 6mm. It's been a while since I pulled the head on a 1.8 turbo. I think the last one I did was on a Passat, and that's obviously slightly different. If you have two people, it's obviously easier to lift. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vent valves. I should say, exhaust valves. 1, 2, 3, 4 intake valves are vent. So 3, 6, 9, 12 valves out of 20. Take the intake off, exhaust, camshaft, and adjuster, and then we send it to the machine shop. You can see the nice impact marks from the valves. 1 is 1 and 2, so that's the 3, 1, 2 up top, 3, 2 up top, 1 here, 1 there, 2 up top. Sort of dug into the piston a little bit. You can feel a ridge, some shavings coming off. Don't see any type of fractures or anything like that, but the only way to really know is to pull the pistons out and have a look at the skirts, connecting rods. At this point you can also turn the crank until the 1 and 4 pistons are level. See if they're the same height. Use a dial indicator on the block to measure the height of the 2 pistons. Make sure they're the same, and then rotate the crank so that 2 and 3 are up at the top. Measure them as well. If they're all even, chances are the connecting rods are not bent, and the pistons themselves are okay as well. Again, you could still have micro fractures, and the only way to know is to pull the pistons out. So got to talk to the customer first and see if he wants us to pull the pistons, in which case obviously I got to pull the oil pan out, and then continue from there. He may opt for a used motor at this point anyways. Okay, that's pretty much it for this. Don't like working on weekends, but shop is nice and quiet today. No phone calls.